Weekly dose of all things FSU, Pistols and Pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
The Seminole Headlines 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Great to be back with you in studio. Irish Bell, Jeff Cameron, and Corey up in Atlanta. Not in studio, but with us. He's here. And we're ready to roll. Let's say thanks to Register Sausage out the gate, as always. Yay, sausage!
We ended up not getting that promo code for the big win this past weekend basketball. So that's kind of what I was telling Ben. Hey, man, that Miami win, jump on the promo code when you got the chance. Now, maybe it'll come for North Carolina. We'll see.
That'd be a big one.
But you don't have to have the promo code to get some delicious Register Sausage. Certainly, if you live in this part of the state, anywhere from over to Jacksonville to the Panhandle, out into lower South, Georgia and Alabama, go into your local grocery store, certainly in the Panhandle and across to Jacksonville and the Publixes and Winn-Dixie's and becoming the Walmarts and the Costco's and everywhere else. The sausage takeover is in full effect. Or you can go to registermeats.com, the website, and have it delivered. And it doesn't matter where you live. They'll have it delivered to you. It comes it's premium sausage. It comes fresh in an ice container, and you will be happy you had it.
Corey, I think you're with me when we say let's not use the phrase.
What? No, I loved it. I thought it was the best thing Iris ever said.
I don't want to talk about.
I don't know that anything encapsulates Seminole Headlines more than just calling it a sausage takeover.
ST 2024.
Boys are all here. The sausage. Well, Corey, are you going to fly up afterwards after the show and cover the game at Syracuse tonight?
Yeah, we got to make this quick.
We got to
make this quick. That's going to be a big one.
I was angling for a promo code, so I thought if Corey were there, he could document it in real time, and we could get that promo code up in a hurry.
Yeah, they could win up there. They could win up there.
You don't sound like a confident man. You don't sound like a confident
we'll
man. I don't think they'll win up there because you got to shoot over a zone, and they won't.
And it's a little different now. Boeheim's retired, so we'll see. They're not quite the
they don't zone like they would, but they probably will keep. They'll probably zone Florida State, I would think.
If you saw Florida State against the zone last weekend, you might go back to the zone.
I'd play nothing but, and I hate zone. I'd make my team do it. All right, what's happening, Corey? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. So as we're coming on air, it looks like Harbaugh to the Chargers is becoming very close to a reality, like imminent, it seems like. And I just wanted to ask you guys, because I drive this show. You guys understand that. I'm the driver. I'm the pilot.
Sure.
If you're Michigan, don't you because of the way the calendar is, don't you have to just promote the OC? Just to keep some semblance of stability?
It definitely would weigh heavily into your decision for sure.
If I'm that guy, I'm pleased that that's happening because they kind of have to do it, don't they, to keep any semblance of a class?
Yeah, and even that there's no guarantee because now it's going to be an open market on any players you have left from that championship run. I'm sure they have some.
But don't you think a lot of those guys have a connection to him? I think his name is Sharon Moore, right? Like they'll have no connection to whoever they like. You're going to lose half of your team. Maybe more if you don't hire that guy. You're going to lose some anyway. It just feels like, if Alabama could do it over again, maybe for the 1 year, the interim year, not that they had anybody that had been on staff more than a couple of years because it's Alabama, but you promote from within to create a little bit of stability because otherwise you're going to have 50 guys leaving your program.
I don't know if it would have mattered in that situation.
Maybe not Alabama.
It might matter more at Michigan.
Yeah, I think that's true. And by the way, the best story in college football since the postseason began, we all know what happened. But
the way Michigan overcame adversity.
I got teary-eyed when the clock struck zero. I know you were as verklempt as I was with all that overachieving. No. It's just watching Bama fans have to deal with the new reality, the new world order. Like it is so they're furious and it's awesome. I'm not the guy that does the Schadenfreude look at other people's message boards thing, but I do now. I do every day now.
If you're enjoying it, and I think Florida State fans in general are enjoying it, especially because it came on the heels of all the crap that came about the culture of Florida State in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
How much are SEC like all the SEC fans who've been riding their coattails and singing SEC when they win national championships now are relishing the fact that Alabama.
The only thing I find sad is that this happened to them. This transition happen to them at a time where there's going to be 12 teams in a playoff.
Right.
So they don't even have to be that great. They could go 10-2 and 9-3 and maybe get in. Whereas if it were happening under the old BCS or something, you ain't winning nothing. And if you got nothing for the next 30 years, pal, it'll be like once in a great while Gene Stallings days, and that's it.
Right.
But no, they'll fall into the playoff anyhow.
Yeah, when you brought up the Michigan thing, it reminded me just them overcoming obstacles. Remember Kerry Strug landing that vault with one leg?
Oh, yeah.
Man, if you didn't get teary-eyed watching that, then you're not an American. You're not a patriot. And then I feel the same way about Michigan finishing off that championship.
Winning those games without Harbaugh.
Yeah, without Stallions, too.
Oh,
Think about that. They didn't even have Connor Stallions telling them what plays were coming. And
so
they
is that
won games.
Is he really on Cameo? Have you seen that?
I've not seen that.
I mean, maybe I'm getting faked, but somebody tweeted some videos that like he's on Cameo and doing videos for Michigan fans, like celebrating the national championship and things like that.
Yeah.
People are paying him to
I don't doubt it.
That's
I mean,
fantastic.
what's he going to do for money? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably
maybe
not
a
gonna be hired.
Harbaugh staff with the Chargers.
Hey, since we last all gathered, now it's official. I thought it would happen, but it has happened. Farmer in the fold. Now you never know. You know, as we say about these things, you never really know. It seems to be good to go. So we're feeling pretty good about this defensive line now, boys. They got a serious rotation at defensive end. They're stout in the middle. They may end up with another guy. Who knows? They may end up getting another guy. But, I mean, as of right now, the thing is, as the season ended that we were most worried about for Florida State, I think Florida State fans got to be pumped. This thing is all set.
Real quick, Connor Stallions is on Cameo, so if you want to get a video.
Just in case.
What's he charging?
Oh, I don't know. I'll find out.
I thought you just looked him up. Yeah, that's you. Get him on. Get him to give Seminole Headlines a shout out.
All right, that's a good idea.
Somebody out there, pay Connor Stallions to talk about how Seminole Headlines is his favorite show.
Stay on topic, Corey. So defensive line, you and you just did a story about the defense overall. Seems like you feel pretty good about this defense going into, I guess I
want to point something out. I'm going to interrupt Ira. This was part of a seamless transition from the host who knew that Corey wrote a piece. Yeah. And I served this softball, and that dude doesn't take it, and he wrote the damn piece.
He tried to steer us off the road, but I grabbed the wheel.
This is what I do. This is like the seamless way in which I do it. It goes unnoticed occasionally. If I screw it up, Corey's quick to tell me. Mm-hmm. But here, I just, this big, fat softball right at it's belt high.
And I feel like we're misremembering. I feel like if you go back 90 seconds, which everybody watching this game,
I might have interrupted with Connor Stallions.
I think Ira interrupted after you talked about Josh Farmer by saying, "Oh yeah, Connor Stallions is on Cameo."
But that was a kind of quick thing. Then you just continue. And then if we were all in studio and we were doing the dance we normally do, or jazz, playing off each other, I would have interrupted, said Connor Stallions is indeed on Cameo, and you would have continued on your thought.
It's like comedic timing.
But instead,
that's my bad. I thought it was a good idea that I had. I apologize to the listeners and to the viewers.
You're like, okay, what does he charge? Is he available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?
Buffalo Bob's got it right in the chat. Strike one, Corey. That's down the heart.
You're
not going to get a better pitch.
So then I came over and put on the tee for you.
You balked. You made it a balk where the pitch didn't even count.
This is like FSU baseball a year ago.
That's crazy. So, but going back to the defensive line, real quick, we'll get back to Connor Stallions in a second. But, you can make the argument, I think especially at defensive end, that overall the position is going to be better, even though you're losing a first-round pick, because I think, let's say your number 2 player is going to be better, your number 3 and your number 4, and probably even your number 5 guy are all going to be better than they were last year. Your number 1, I don't even know who your number 1 is. Let's assume it's Patrick Payton. Yeah, let's say he takes another jump. He still might not be versed, but he's a very good defensive end at the college level. Then you have Marvin, and then the 2 transfers coming in from Oregon State and West Virginia. That is a quartet that you did not have last year. That is 4 dudes, I think. Well, Marvin's the only one that's unproven, really. It's 4 dudes that I think can really play, that can really help you, that will not get pushed around when they're on the field. It will not be almost noticeable when they're on the field, like it might have been last year when you took 5 and 11 off.
I wonder how long that's going to linger.
But here's the thing. We can say that, and I can understand it intellectually, but I do want to see it play out. Because the thing about Verse is, Verse at times took over football games.
Yes, he did.
And I don't know, Peyton could. Peyton certainly could.
He keeps adding strength.
Right.
And Marvin could.
Marvin
we
have no idea. I mean,
we have no idea, but he could.
Sure, but it's all theoretical with him.
Right.
I think they're in a good position, though. The bottom line is an area where we were very concerned that they were going to get gutted. I mean, imagine if Darrell Jackson and Josh Farmer don't come back, and you only get one of the defensive ends that you got.
Right.
You'd be sitting here going, "We got problems, boys. This is going to be an issue. We're going to have to score a lot of points," is what you'd be saying.
Peyton was flirting with it.
Yeah. I mean, he was the first to tweet, right? So you had all that stuff, and now all of them are back. Everybody's back. Not Verse, obviously. We already knew that was going to happen. But, I mean, you're set there. You got guys that can set the edge. You got guys that can rush the passer. You got depth. I think they're going to be really good up front. And
you also got guys that you got guys. Daniel Lyons is allowed to be a dude.
Yeah, he can.
KJ Sampson. Yeah, KJ Sampson is allowed to be a dude. Like, that can happen too. And that makes everything better when those guys start playing close to their potential.
Yeah, I mean, they're just young guys that are growing and becoming that a factor. And I also wouldn't be shocked if they went and got another defensive lineman at all. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's a good group. I mean, it's definitely and it again, like when you combine that with what they have in the secondary, which I think they're going to be very good in the secondary, and I think they're improving what they've got at linebacker. I mean, all right, man. Like this is a defensive group. Where, again, I don't think you're going to go into games thinking, oh, man, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, what if Sean Murphy's great? What if Justin Cryer continues down a path I think Cryer has a chance to be good. Nicholson, we know, can cover. If he gets bigger, maybe he'll play the run better. They may go get another linebacker. Who knows? I mean, you still got time. I would try to do that personally. But, I mean, that could be a decent unit.
And we don't talk about DJ Lundy, but, man, the dude was productive as hell. He had 56 tackles last year.
Yeah,
he's not even a starter. So, I mean, he can play.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that it's a skill set you need, especially if you're going to face a team that wants to run the football. Right. And you don't want him in coverage, fine. But you can take him off the field when you're in coverage. You don't have to worry about it. You're allowed to play with 6 defensive backs. So it's changed the game. So in running situations against power teams like that, Lundy's good for you. So, yeah, that's true. To get him back is great. The defense could be good. That's what we're trying to say. Could be good. I think it's going to be for an interesting spring.
That's what's the coolest thing about it is how, I mean, this will be a really entertaining spring. And again, we're lucky enough that we get to watch the practices. There's so many unknowns. What does Marvin look like? What do these defensive linemen look like? The ones that are coming in, the transfers, and then if these linebackers taking a step. Now it's only been, I don't know, it'll only have been 4 months since we saw him play in the Orange Bowl, but that doesn't really count. But this is their first chance, Nicholson, Cryer especially, where they know they might have a chance to start. Like they're competing for starting spots. I just want to see what it all looks like and how it melds together because they could be pretty darn good.
I also like the fact, and I know that this is not how they've traditionally built through the portal. They've actually gotten a lot of good players from not great programs in the past. But getting guys that played at Alabama and Georgia, so many guys from Alabama and guys from a school like Georgia that they work. Like that's not going to have to be taught. There's no way that a guy coming from Georgia or Alabama needs to understand what it means to work hard. Now, you heard some of that with Casey Roddick coming in from Colorado. You heard about that from some of the other guys at other schools. But those guys are going to – I can't imagine it's going to be much different than what they experienced before. So they should hit the ground running.
The clay that you have to mold is better. That's what you have. You've got, we've seen the floor raised of talent. You're bringing a kid from LSU. You're bringing those guys from Alabama. Bringing a guy from Georgia. They've got better talent to work with.
Yeah, and my point is, and I think we knew that, but what's important to me about also is the fact that you could get a guy who signed at a school but maybe didn't fit there. Like he had talent. He was talented enough to sign at one of those schools, but maybe didn't fit there. Well, I mean. Marvin Jones Jr. played there for 2 years. They used him. They used him more and more as the season went on. Like if you look at this past season, it seemed like the last 4 or 5 games they started really using him a lot more. Well, if they weren't happy with him, there's no way that happens. So he left on an upward trajectory at a great program. And again, those Alabama games, guys, same thing. The guy Clint Lamb that Tom had on that interview, he could not have spoken better about any of them. So it's not like you're getting players who are at a great program, but we're not having success there or not thought of well. I mean, these guys were all thought of well.
Yeah, they weren't cast-offs. They
Right.
weren't, yeah. Most of these guys are all guys that were trending in the right direction or maybe just buried because another five-star was in front of them or something like that. Seminole Headlines 93.3, you're going to wait. Seminole Headlines 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic.
Traffic cameras are everywhere, providing valuable evidence if you've been in an accident.
But if you can't access that evidence, it could just be your word against theirs.
Basic Brooks is partnered with Roadproof to have access to all their traffic camera footage. If you've been hurt in an accident, give us a call and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Let us find your video evidence so you can come back stronger. Call us now at 850-777-7777.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Thank you for calling the Medicare Help Desk. How can we help you?
Can you help me choose the right coverage for myself and my wife?
We sure can. We can help you choose from Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, or standalone prescription drug plans from over 30 different insurance carriers.
How much does it cost? We have a fixed income and can't afford extra expenses.
At the Medicare Help Desk, the consultation is completely free. We are here to help.
Thank you, Medicare Help Desk.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. In my 17 years of experience, I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk, a place for you to get clear answers to all your questions and make sense of all the confusion. I've helped thousands of clients, and I live right here in Tallahassee with my family. I am active in my church and wish to help and serve my community. If you need help navigating the Medicare landscape, I'm easy to find. Just visit the MedicareHelpDesk.com. That's the MedicareHelpDesk.com.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for 2024. Don't go around another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics, it can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatment has arrived, and QC has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This isn't a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving along. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on the calendar today. Call 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. Once again, 850-391-4280.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
We were just talking about during the break, Ira and I were the ACC and, projecting who's going to be favored to win the conference. It's a weird era. It used to be that obviously we all knew that a season ended. You could kind of take inventory. How many of those players they got coming back? How many of those guys are starters? What was their record? And now you get just like roster overhauls, except at Clemson.
We're not overhauling anything.
They don't overhaul nothing. Who do you think will be picked to win the conference?
By the way, real quick, just do what I do here, Corey. I'm interrupting you. So I was watching a podcast with a Clemson media member. I'm not going to name him because I'm going to kind of diss him a little bit.
Okay.
Even though I like him, of the Clemson media contingent, he's well respected and a good guy. But he was talking about their quarterback situation, and he made the comment that, if you're not sure about Cade Klubnik, and obviously nobody's really sure about Cade Klubnik, why wouldn't they have gone all in to try to get Riley Leonard to come in and compete with Cade Klubnik? And I'm like, their media doesn't even understand how the portal works and how quarterbacks. I mean, who would Riley Leonard go in to compete? Like, what? Yeah, how much would you have to pay Riley Leonard to get him to come compete for a job? Sir. And how quickly would Cade Klubnik have packed his bags? I mean, just the idea but it just illustrated to me like how I think that whole Clemson biosphere, like it's like they don't even understand how the portal works. It's like a completely different.
Well, especially in the point you're making is at that position, right? Like nobody's going to come in and that's why 2 years ago they couldn't get anybody to compete with Jordan Travis because you had an established starter. And we'll give you a chance, but who's going to go spend their last year of college at a chance? Especially someone like Riley Leonard, who can start.
Riley Leonard's going to start 99% of the places he goes to.
So he wouldn't go there. And then Cade, bring in Riley Leonard. He might be a tick up from Cade Klubnik. Well, then you lose that guy. That's just how the portal works. So they Grace Rayner, who I think works for The Athletic and does a good job. She wrote a story about how there's a paragraph that I just saw today on Twitter where somebody linked to it. And it was, people say that Dabo hasn't been in the portal looking for guys. Well, here's 3 guys over the last 3 years he tried to recruit and they all said no. And it's like, okay, man, Mike Norvell is recruiting 40 guys out of the portal because they don't all say yes. To say that he's invested in the portal, it's not accurate when he made a run at 2 or 3 guys and they all said no. They still have 0 guys out of the portal. 0.
It's like
unbelievable.
I'm saying I'm dieting because I've tried a bunch of diets. I've tried them.
You're not stuck to anything.
None of them worked for more than a couple
hours.
But I'm dieting, guys.
Yeah. But also imagine being a Carolina Panthers fan, which I assume some Clemson fans are, and hearing from the GM, look, we're not going the free agent route. We're building from our draft picks, and I don't care if they're horrible or not as good as we thought. They're our guys. And we're building with him. I don't care if Mahomes comes on the market. He's not one of our guys. We're not taking him. That's the idea of not even entertaining free agency in college football now is a death knell. It's crazy.
Really the perfect analogy, I think, comparison is the Orioles. Because the Orioles last year going to the trade deadline.
Always back to the Orioles with this guy.
It is. Well, I'm just like, because they're what they're saying is we are going to try to be active in the market. We are going to try to get guys. But what does that mean? Like, what you're not active like the Dodgers are going to be active, or
the Pirates are very active.
Yeah,
the Pirates are very active. I can assure you.
Is there anybody we can get for a case of balls, a bat, and like $35?
Now I know that Philadelphia offered you $27 million, but here in Pittsburgh, they'll give you $700,000.
And we got a tunnel. We got that cool tunnel.
We tried. We were out there. We were very active. He just took the $27 million.
So I would say Florida State's going to be picked to win.
I think so too.
It's going to be interesting.
I would not have said that. I would have said Clemson at the end of the season just because of what Florida State was losing. And now I think it'll be Florida State.
I think it could be. I think it's going to be pretty wide open. I think there are going to be people to pick Miami again. I think there's going to be people to pick Louisville because they've gone crazy in the portal. But I think Clemson's going to get over-selected just because they're Clemson. I don't know when I'll be surprised if Clemson's not picked first or second, just because that's what people in this conference.
I'll be surprised if they're not picked second, but I think some of the luster is off of Clemson. They did lose 4 games. They got nobody in the portal. There was an offense that it didn't exactly strike fear in the hearts of those they faced. So I gotta say I don't know, man. I think Florida State will be picked first. Moreover, I don't really care. I just like to see Clemson continue to be antiquated. That's like continue to go through life like that. Right. That's fine. That is good. And let everybody else like Louisville and Florida State. And it's our last year in the conference, guys. So this is it. You got to go out back-to-back conference champions and then ride out.
Here's what I want to talk to about that. I saw the the interview you had yesterday on your show, Jeff. Not the Ira one. Were you on too, Ira?
Ira was on yesterday.
Oh,
yes.
awesome! I didn't hear that, man. I apologize.
It was a beefy segment too.
Yeah.
It was.
We were good. He was on for
15
a while.
minutes.
You missed it.
Oh, that is beefy.
Well, you got caught up in the Tom Quince interview.
I did, yeah. But I like beefy Ira. I like Ira beefy, and I think you should think about doing that more, Jeff, as opposed to the 3-minute hits he usually gives you. I like elongating it a little bit.
Sometimes I like him to be succinct and just really come in, swinging, and then it's memorable.
Sometimes you let it breathe. I get it. Yeah, so with this, are we of the opinion? How sure are you, you two? I'm asking you two. Percentage-wise, that if and when Florida State gets out of this conference, they have a landing spot already firmly ready for them.
Okay, well, obviously it's not a contract, obviously, that nobody wants to get sued.
Right.
But yes, I think there's a wink, nod understanding. Sure.
What 100%?
Pretty close.
If they leave, if they take that step through the door, I think it's probably close to 100%.
Yeah.
But don't you think even suing them would you sue someone if you didn't have a place to go?
Correct. I don't believe they would have moved forward as aggressively as they did without some assurances. Let's put it that way.
That's possible, but I also think that because several people I've talked to have said, look, if the ACC wants to restructure how they pay everybody, and again, this kind of goes to acting with good faith. If the ACC wants to say, you know what, we're going to give the schools that actually bring in the most TV money, we're going to give them the most money, then they're open to staying. So I think there could be an argument for suing just to lead to more negotiations, even if it doesn't mean you leave the conference.
But I think we went too far down the road.
It's possible.
I think it's ugly.
Yeah,
it is. That's my concern.
I'm just saying I don't know that it's 100%. I don't know that the only way you'd sue is if you knew for sure you had a landing spot.
That's fair. But Corey, I would say this. We watch this all the time in other forms of negotiations where it looks like it's not repairable, where the things that were said publicly by the parties negotiating make it sound like if they could, they'd kill one another. And then you wake up one morning, you're like, oh, look at that, he resigned. I mean, it happens.
Right.
It gets very, very ugly. Everybody seeking leverage, everybody coming for the jugular. And then the next thing you know, they're like, okay, it really behooves us all here to get this done. So it could happen. I don't think it will. I think they're too far down the track, but who knows?
The last time we re-upped with Corey at Warchant.
It got so ugly. It was, you guys should have heard the stuff behind the scenes that Corey was saying about Ira and myself, about Gene, about Tom. He took random shots at Matthew, who's producing today.
Just strays.
Yeah.
Well, and all your wives, too. Your wives weren't off limits.
Well, that was when Ira got up and walked out of the room. Is when you started saying things about our families.
So imagine my surprise when Gene sends an email the next morning. Congratulations to Corey Clark on another 2 years with Warchant.com.
Yeah, we were all a little disappointed, but we've learned to live with it.
Hey, man, and look, we're all better for it, right? We're all better for it. That bridge has been mended, if that's a saying. I don't know that is. I think it is.
We mend bridges around here.
We mend bridges. We don't burn them. We mend them.
I don't like negotiating deals for that reason. I don't like to be part of it. I have lawyers do that.
So I have two, one concern and one thing that kind of irks me. It irks me. Where's Clemson in all this? Why is Florida State
if you
the only one on the beachhead?
They're on their way, baby.
But
have you seen the rumors?
But they're doing it so behind. Like, it'd be nice to have somebody lockstep with you. That'd be nice. It'd be cool. They could sue them in South Carolina courts. They could get the ball rolling more instead of saying, yeah, Florida State, let's see how it goes with you, and then we'll jump on board. If you win your lawsuit, maybe then Clemson sues. It's like, man, get on board, Clemson. But the other concern.
Hold on, Corey. Once you do that, though, and you heard this from Tom Quince yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the ACC is fighting for their life. Mm-hmm. If Florida State gets out, this is over. I mean, I think we see the end of the conference.
Well, and that was what they argued. Basically, Florida State, one of the things they argued in their initial lawsuit was the decision to go add 3 schools, SMU, Cal, and Stanford, wasn't to do anything in the best interest of the conference or these schools. It was to just try to keep the lights on. Correct. And I think that's how they're acting through all of this.
Oh, they're very aggressive, very punitive, very aggressive, very angry. But they have to be.
Because, they don't want to be just disbanded. Yeah.
But it makes Florida State look like the villain. And it's like they're the villain for a lot of schools that want to get out, too. And it would be cool if Clemson, maybe stopped hiding underneath the rock. And they're invested, too. They want to be good at football, too. It'd be nice to have somebody in lockstep with you a little bit that thinks like you think. But also, my bigger concern, that's just an irk, is that if you do get out of the ACC and you don't have a landing spot, which I don't think is probable, but it's at least possible, and you end up in the Big 12 for $4 million more a year. That is an awful misstep that just would completely suck that you're in the Big 12 instead of the ACC.
We're a long way from anything like that happening. I mean, this is going to go on for probably more than a year.
I'll say this. I think that they've contemplated during the course of these last 2 or 3 years, since the landscape was shaken by Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC and USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. And I think the people that make decisions at Florida State have considered every conceivable option, whether that's going to any of these conferences that exist, whether that's going it alone and trying to break free with some other schools and starting a conference, whether it's going independent, whatever. Like, I think all of that has been on the table at different times. And because of that, I don't know. And because I know how determined they are to not be stuck in the ACC long-term, I wouldn't say the only way they would have gone to this length is if they have a deal in place, because I think they would be considering other options and still trying to get out of the ACC. But I don't think it's a high percent. I mean, I think it's very unlikely, but I wouldn't say, I think Jeff's a little more confident than I am that they have 100% know exactly where they're going to be. I think they 100% know. I think the only thing they 100% know is they can't stay in the ACC.
I agree with that. And I don't think they know exactly where they're going to be, but they think it's going to be the SEC or the Big Ten.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah. That's where they're going to go.
I believe
and
that's
if it isn't, this is a failure. If you end up in the Big 12,
right.
That is a failure.
But would staying put not be a failure? I mean,
well,
I think that would
it's
be
the lesser of two evils, though, because of your fans.
Well,
your fans get to go see. You get to the travel isn't as much like that. I think in the money wouldn't be nearly enough to offset having to go to Lubbock, Texas, and Manhattan, Kansas. That's my
hear
point.
you. I know. I hear you. I'm just saying I don't think you blame somebody for trying.
No, it's worth the risk. Yeah, right? You're right. You're right. I framed that incorrectly. I framed that incorrectly. But it would be a huge miss, if you get out of this conference and don't land in the Big Ten or the SEC.
Big ifs, Corey. Don't we believe that the larger percentage here we're leaning towards is that they are going to land in either of the big two?
I mean, if you look at it
would make no sense not to.
Well, and if you look at it objectively, if Florida State got out of the ACC and they're basically a free agent, and you look at the way the Big Ten has been acting over the last, several years, it seems
acquiring assets.
And if they're out of their deal, why would the Big Ten not be interested? You have to assume that they certainly would be. And then if they are, then that opens the door to the SEC. So I think it's kind of like, and I asked somebody at one point during all this a year or two ago, basically, how well do you know that you'd be coveted? And the person was like, well, we don't know for sure, but
they also
Florida
couldn't
State.
tell you if they did.
No, but they're also Florida State. And it's like, why would, if that asset is out there, who would not want to put them?
Completely agree. And if you're the Big Ten,
but you got to get out of this deal first.
You got to get out of this deal because they can't talk to you otherwise, other than like on the golf course, wink, wink, nod, nod. But yes, the Big Ten would want to plant the flag. They would want to have something done, which is why I think that Florida State ends up in the SEC, because I don't think ESPN is going to let that happen.
It's possible.
I don't think ESPN is going to let Fox roll in here and grab Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, and whomever else. I would be shocked by that. I think at the end of the day, and our fans will be pissed temporarily, but because they hate ESPN and they hate what the SEC is. But that's where I think that's where we end up. And by the way, that would be really good for the local economy.
Be great.
For sure.
Be great.
Yeah, no question. I think the money actually right now is better in the Big Ten. It's going to be better in the Big Ten right now. But I do think that from a local economy standpoint, filling the stadium, those kinds of things, I think the SEC would.
I have dared to dream, as we all have. I mean, imagine sitting here and it's, one weekend it's Ole Miss, the next weekend it's Alabama, the next weekend it's Georgia, the next weekend it's Auburn,
Tennessee.
The next week. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot about zero, but
it would be really cool too to those SEC fan bases to experience hotel rates in Tallahassee. Just see what that's all about. Do you think they'll lower them a little bit? Maybe that's part of the deal to get in the SEC is you don't have to pillage people to come watch your football games.
You think it's gonna be like $119 a night in Starkville?
Well, no, but
we roll into
that's also Starkville. You know what you're living. This is a capital city that's charging $400 a night.
I forgot.
First road game in the SEC, Mississippi State. Let's go, boys! Off we go to Starkville. They have
Ira's been there. Ira's been to Stark Vegas.
It's a nice, quaint little stadium.
Quaint.
Yeah, it is.
How many people?
I think back then it was like 45 or something.
It's got to be in the 60s now. The SEC is not letting that little childlike stadium, right?
It was nice. It had trees above the stands. It was
quaint. Duke.
Didn't think much of the rest of Starkville, but the stadium was all right.
Didn't spend a lot of time. Seminole Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
News now.
A captain with the Tallahassee Fire Department received the Florida Career Firefighter of the Year award Monday. Alan Willis oversees special operations for TFD. Monday evening, he joined firefighters across the state in a ceremony in the Senate chambers at the Florida Capitol. Willis has been instrumental in coordinating statewide responses to major hurricanes, as well as the building collapse in Surfside. Colleagues say he has an unwavering commitment to community service. Tallahassee Fire Chief Gene Sanders said Willis's dedication to the special operations team has benefited not just TFD, but the entire state of Florida. Willis has dedicated his career to responding in times of crisis. He helps coordinate search and rescue efforts after disasters like Hurricane Michael, Ian, and Idalia. He also ensures that resources make their way to hard-hit areas. Willis has worked with the Urban Search and Rescue Team since its inception. He has been with TFD for 21 years. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Showers likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy. Highs around 66. Southeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 60 and foggy tonight. Chance for showers. Cloudy skies and foggy early tomorrow. Slight chance for showers. Highs level off around 76. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 64 degrees.
I'm Caleb. I'm the lawn supervisor at Paul's Termite and Pest Control, and I really do love my job. Paul's has created an incredible work environment that always puts our customers' needs first. Their needs are our concerns, and my particular job of improving the health of North Florida lawns is something I truly enjoy. I'm an outdoor person, and I get to be outside all day, watching the lawns run through the stages full of weeds to weedless to lush, grass-filled landscapes is very rewarding. I'm proud to represent Paul's.
I'm Jay. Having the privilege to work with people like Caleb and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
What would you do if we end up in the Big Ten? Because Ira and I would have no problem rolling out there to some of those Big Ten locations because we fly.
A lot of flying, Corey.
A lot of flying.
Real
Corey,
quick, by the way, Corey, I don't get a lot of things right on the fly. You know, like I like writing because you can take time to look things up.
You got this right, though.
They were 41,000. Mississippi State was 41,000 back when I was
you were right there.
Yeah, and they went tonight 45, and now they're up to hefty 60,000.
60,000.
SEC just means more.
Yeah, you can't have a 40,000 seat stadium. What are we doing? Not in the SEC.
So, Corey,
what are you going to do?
Also, what about Ireland?
I also think it's funny. Yeah, I'm going to Ireland. I'm going to Ireland. Right. I think it humors me that Jeff talks as if he would go to any road game that Florida State played.
Yeah.
When was the last? What was the last road conference game Jeff Cameron went to?
It wasn't this past year.
You didn't go to Snuggy Hill, did you?
I didn't go to Snuggy Hill.
You talked a good game about going.
Of course we did.
Things turned
literally.
You might have lost your chance.
Couldn't make it.
I think the last road conference game he went to was 2013 Clemson.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect.
Could be right.
No, it's incorrect. It was 2 years ago.
Have you been down to Miami at all?
Miami.
Several times.
Miami.
Yeah, last decade, maybe?
Oh, within the last few years. I was there for the choke job with Willie.
Take that, Corey. That was a good game, too.
Oh, it was an awesome game. They had the lead the whole way, and then they dropped him back to pass when I knew he was going to get sacked. And I was
Let me rephrase. That Jeff would actually work at the game.
Oh, no. I don't work on road games.
Yeah, exactly right. So you flying to Chicago doesn't do us any good.
I will be in Chicago just like it was the last time we were there for the Notre Dame game, but I will be there. But I will work when I'm there. I do pregame shows, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do the after show. That's you guys. You guys are celebrities for that. You should continue to do it. Don't you worry about me. You worry about yourself, Corey Clark. Get to writing.
Well, and that is something I've thought about, is if they're in the Big Ten, like, not just I don't like flying, but that's a lot of expenses to send 3 or 4 people to Seattle.
Well, that's not your concern. That's Gene's concern. So don't worry about it.
Corey worries about the expenses when it's something he doesn't really want to do.
Of course.
I'm just saying it is.
That would be pretty expensive, Gene. Just saying.
Getting to West Lafayette, Indiana, that's not easy.
I don't think we should go and cover Indiana. I just don't believe we should go. Guys, the expenses are out of control.
Yeah, that's right. They'll Zoom. They'll do a Zoom interview with us.
Yeah, man. I think we'd all. There was about a month there where I had so much hostility and rage towards the SEC and ESPN over what happened in the playoff snub that I kind of was like, you know what? Maybe the Big Ten wouldn't be that bad, but I would definitely rather be definitely rather be in the SEC.
Also, Corey, I covered the ACC championship. Stayed at the same house as Ira and
That's true.
Aslan.
So this year?
This
year?
Yeah,
that's right. You were there. That's right.
So why don't you just go to hell?
Just throw some allegations.
I mean, just throw it out there.
Spurious accusations.
You know what? And I didn't drive from Atlanta. It wasn't a 5-minute drive for this guy. No. Dude got in the car in his own vehicle and drove
That's
all
true.
the way to Charlotte for 3 days.
Everything I said, I take back, and then some. You were a road warrior for Warchant.
If you guys get a chance, if you're not watching the YouTube copy of this, go back to about minute 41:10 to where Jeff starts that rant and is flexing his middle finger the entire time he's talking to Corey Clark, by the way.
Oh, is that true? Was he doing
Subtly.
I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that.
He was pointing, but it wasn't his.
I was doing this, Corey. He just mistook it for me shooting you a bird.
41:10, 41:20, somewhere in there. Check out that video.
I wanted to get y'all's opinion on something. I'm completely depressed with how little my son knows about life. Like, not even life, like just things he should know about, like who Prince is. Like, he knows who Prince is. He's heard of Prince. He knows a couple of his songs, but he doesn't know really about the Prince phenomenon. So the last 2 days, because I get so tired of him just not knowing things, that I made him give me like an oral report on Eddie Murphy was one day. Prince was yesterday. Today is going to be John Glenn. I just want him to know famous people and what they're known for.
Maybe not famous people, just people who were experts at what they did or what they do.
That too, but like, and so now he knows that Eddie Murphy was on Saturday Night Live. And I feel like, okay, that's something. That's something.
Go down the road of Charlie Murphy.
He did. He actually did mention Charlie Murphy. And he goes, yeah, and he had a brother. And I'm like, yeah, his brother became much more famous for Dave Chappelle making fun of him than he did at his own. And so I had to explain the whole Rick
Charlie's
James.
funny.
Yeah, but Rick James and Charlie Murphy playing basketball against Prince. That's actually what got me onto Prince. Like, oh, you're going to learn about Prince tomorrow when he's like,
you've seen the footage. You've heard the footage of Charlie Murphy telling the woman when he's in delirious. Yeah, that's really good.
I will say this: as your kids get older, I can speak from having older kids. They'll start to have an appreciation for older things. Like that's, and they'll start doing their own research. Just because I know that my kids now are more interested in old musicians, from our era. And getting a better understanding beyond whatever's just on
surface level.
Surface level pop radio.
Corey, are you doing this because you're getting upset? Not just like pop culture and history. Like, does he not know certain things about, say, Florida State history, college football history, like passions, things that you in the field that you work?
No, he's got for a 15-year-old, he's got a very good knowledge of sports. I want to veer him away. That's all he cares about, and I kind of want to veer him away from that. In fact, I said, hey, do you know who Eddie Murphy is? And he goes, oh, wasn't he the switch hitting first baseman for the Orioles?
Good answer.
And
I'm like, well, that's close. And I'm like, that's Eddie Murray. And he goes, well, how many kids my age would even know who Eddie Murray is? And I'm like, well, here's the thing, Brady.
It's a hell of a thing for him to even have a clue that Eddie Murray's been retired
forever. But I was like, his prime was in the mid-'80s. But I'm like, Brady, here's the thing. Number one, you didn't quite know who Eddie Murray was because you thought his name was Eddie Murphy.
Common
so you're not even on top of that. And then you don't know who Eddie Murphy is. So I want to make him a little more well-rounded. It's not all going to be pop culture. Like there's going to be John Glenn. I'm going to make him look up Oppenheimer, see what my man did there.
I think he probably knows that one.
He does know who Oppenheimer is, but I want him to know about his life. I'm going to make him read American Prometheus. It's only a 1,400-page book.
I think he should start he should reciprocate, though, and have you learn some current pop culture.
No, I know Lil Yachty, and I know Cardi B.
Yeah.
And Little Dicky.
You know Megan Thee Stallion?
I know who she is. I don't know if I could pick her out if she walked into my house.
This is a family show. I can't say what I was going to say.
You figure it out.
Anyway, I just wanted to get some parental advice. See, and here's the difference. You guys have high-achieving kids. It would seem like anyway. Well,
come on, man.
Especially, but you do.
Brady down on Seminole Headlines.
No, I'm just saying. I want him to find passion and be. He's a pretty good student. I just want him to be.
Like you were at that age,
But I was a sports trivia savant. He's not a savant at anything. So I just want him to be. I want him to know a lot about a little. That's all. I just want him to be well-rounded, have a wide breadth of knowledge. He's certainly not getting it by playing Madden for 3 hours a night.
No, and he won't get it by staring at his phone. So that is the bane of our parenting existence.
Can't wait till you start your parenting podcast. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh my gosh! They'll be like, man, Corey must have the best kid on earth. He must be the best baseball athlete. He must be an incredible student. It's like,
I don't even know where to turn for that. How do I take a left turn from that? I would like to bring it back home. There's no way to do it. Corey hijacked the segment and then he left me in the lurch. Now,
I'm sorry. You guys didn't even give me any advice. You didn't even tell me not to do it. You just kind of sat there and nodded your head.
Well, because you kept dogging your son, and your son's a great kid. And by the way, he's getting big. It's good to see him. The last time I saw him, man, he was filling out.
Yeah, he's getting there.
He's getting there. He can probably beat your ass here soon.
Is he buying into FSU basketball at all? Is he buying? Is he starting to feel it?
No.
A little bit?
No.
Is he watching?
This is the wrong time to invest.
No. He also didn't understand why Florida State didn't get Caleb Downs, why Florida State didn't get the Alabama quarterback that just committed to Ohio State. He's like, how's Ohio State getting all these? And Florida State are just getting these no-names. And I'm like, well, Brady, they're not he's 15. Give him a break, everyone. They're not no-names. They're good players. But, you can't get everybody. That's how the portal works.
Ohio State, apparently.
Listen, or Ole Miss. They got 26 players or something like that in the
Ohio
portal.
State's trumping Ole Miss at this point. I mean,
Ohio State is all in. They're tired of losing to Michigan. I'll just say this, though. Again, I didn't think, and we have plenty of these questions we're going to get to next hour, but I certainly thought, objectively, the way that they were going into this initially with the portal, that there would be no way we'd be, what are we at, 14?
Mm-hmm.
And they may end up adding more. That's not what they wanted to do. But I like that we have a collective, and I like that Florida State's aggressive to the point where once it became necessary, they did. You don't need 26 at Florida State right now. Right. You needed what you have and maybe a few more, and we'll see. They'll probably get a few more. I don't know that, but they probably will. When I look at the roster, I was a little bit dismayed at the end of the season, and I thought, man, and we talked about this is going to be tough next year. After going 13-0, it's hard to go 8-4. It's hard to kind of watch that and get excited about it. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen now. Yeah. Like now I sit around and think they've got a very good chance to win the conference. Clemson comes here. That would be back-to-back. And then you got your bridge quarterback, so you can run the hell out of him if you want to. And then he leaves, and Brock's ready to go. And then behind him is Kromenhoek, who you've redshirted this year, probably coming up. So this is a good situation Florida State finds themselves in now.
And speaking of Caleb Downs, one thing that's interesting about him, and I think it speaks to the way this Florida State staff recruits and how important it is to be in the running coming out of high school, is I think he said if you weren't in his recruitment coming out of high school, he wasn't even going to consider you this time. And I think that's the case with a lot of these kids because they make the decisions so quickly.
Yeah.
Like it would be hard to just start over unless one school is just saying, hey, we're going to give you $1 zillion. I think it speaks to Florida State, even though they missed out on some guys in that last class at the end, it wouldn't surprise you at all if they end up coming back down the road.
I also like that Florida State doesn't seem to bring in guys that would upset the apple cart, meaning personality-wise, they're not going to bring in a guy just because he's a guy, like a stud. He has to fit a certain mold. They've been pretty consistent with that.
Yeah.
There haven't been too many exceptions where you see, oh, well, this guy is kind of a horse's ass and is about himself and doesn't really fit in, but he's just really elite, so they brought him in. That's not what they've done.
Yeah, and I like why. To me, that's why it's important to bring a guy like DJ Lundy to stay. I think is important, and some of the other guys that are staying in the program that aren't even stars because they know what it's supposed to look like. And so when the more of those guys you have, the better it is when you bring in the players you do bring in because they know what's expected.
And I was going to say this last segment or 2 segments ago when I started talking and we went to break. By the way, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, that's another one I'm going to have him look up. Just want him some knowledge of the Vietnam War.
So is this research going to be just like finding like documentaries on Netflix or
no, literally I want him to just go to Wikipedia and get a surface level knowledge of this stuff. Just so if somebody brings up the Gulf of Tonkin or Purple Rain in a conversation, Brady can sort of keep up. But anyway, when you think about Florida State, when you think about what they've lost in the portal the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm not trying to dog any of these kids.
That's why you won't name anybody in specific. Yeah,
I won't. But other than maybe Corey Durden, they haven't lost anybody that they really wanted and could have needed. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not thinking of someone. But most of the guys they lost were guys that just weren't. They kind of were not cast-offs, but they just weren't they weren't going to play. They didn't lose contributors. And then you look at Georgia, who, again, nobody's arguing with what Georgia's done, but this goes back to Marvin Jones Jr. Like, they lost Jermaine Johnson, who's a first-round pick. They lost A.D. Mitchell to Texas, who's probably going to be a first-round pick or close to it. They lost Alabama's best receiver was a Georgia guy. Like, they've lost guys in the portal that mattered. So Marvin Jones could be a really nice player. And the point being, just don't judge him because he didn't do anything do much for 2 years at Georgia, because there have been a lot of guys that left that program that went on to great success because it's a great program with a lot of great players. When you leave Florida State, it's not the same thing right now. They haven't lost anyone that they really missed.
Yeah, it's been a handful. It's been more than just him. I mean, you throw Derek McClendon. Not that they were like superstars, but I mean, it was a starter. And you had to go out and get Gilbert Edmond to replace him. And I think you might have been better off keeping Derek McClendon.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, I mean, good for Shane Beamer getting Gilbert Edmond back. Yeah.
For Shane Beamer.
I think Derek McClendon probably wishes he had stayed too.
You think?
I think so, yeah. Really, the receiver they lost to Penn State.
Malik McClain.
Yeah, that might be one. He got hurt. He got hurt. But if he hadn't got hurt, I think he would have contributed quite a bit. All right, Seminole Headlines, hour number 2. Seminole Headliner questions will be forthcoming. Stay with us.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
If you've been waiting and waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Nole, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansfornoles.com. That's loansfornoles.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
License CAC 1816186.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333. Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
The Tampa Bay Lightning have won 7 straight against the Flyers at Wells Fargo Center. They're minus 108 today at Philadelphia, minus 112. 6.5 under the total. The Flyers looking to end a 2-game losing streak. Florida State Seminoles look to end the Syracuse Orange 10-game home winning streak at the JMA Wireless Dome. Seminoles are the 4-point underdog, 150.5 the total. Xander Schauffele 9-1 win the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines in San Diego this week. Patrick Cantley 11-1. Max Homa and Colin Morikawa both at 12-1. 4 free chicken breasts and 4 free pork chops with your order right now at omahasteaks.com/VSIN. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, Seminole Headlines, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Rolling on. We'll get to headliner questions momentarily. First, we'll say thanks to Birch Orthodontics. Birch Orthodontics, best in the business. It's not close. Dr. Birch and her team really make it very, very easy. You go in there, you get a consultation, you figure out payment plans, all that. They work with you. You put your kids at ease if that's what you're doing. I've had both my boys go through it. Iris had his 3 daughters go through it. Corey's volunteering to go through it.
Just to do it.
Yeah, it's very exciting. He wants to know what the experience is like so he can add the dialogue. So Birch Orthodontics.
BirchOrthodontics.com is the website, BURCH orthodontics.com. And the cool thing, again, one of the many cool things, somebody texted me the other day asking about whether or not any of my kids had to have jaw surgery when they went through, because I think their kid might be facing that. And I was like, well, I mean, it's not a miracle worker, but that was one of the things we thought we were going to have to do with Molly, our oldest, the first time we went there. And they actually worked through it so that we did not have to have jaw surgery. Molly's teeth look great. So that's one of the things that they really treat, I think, your kids kind of like their kids, and they're going to do what's best for you. It's not just an assembly line. And so BirchOrthodontics.com is the website, and they'll give you a free consultation and help you through the process.
When you say they treat your kids like their kids, does that mean they make them look up, like Eddie Murphy, like look up trivia stuff for later on in their lives? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know that Dr. Birch does that with her kids, but we can ask.
She hits them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. Well, she hits the patients, is what you're saying.
She hits them, yeah.
Yes.
Very violent. Very violent. I kid Dr. Birch.
I was going to say, do we have to re-record all this again? We can. It's live.
Everybody knows I'm kidding. That's not true. Kind of.
By the way, real quick, so I'm just trying to spark a thirst for knowledge in my boy. That's all. Just a thirst for knowledge.
You almost sound guilty.
I know. Well, now I'm defending too much. Dog protest
too much, man. Get it together. Let's get the questions so I can save you.
Questions.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. Hey, fellas, before the season ended, both Corey and Jeff went back and forth about the transfers. Are you guys surprised at the amount of we just talked about this at the end of the last hour. I am. I know that was not initially their plan. I thought there'd be quite fewer, I should say, than 14. I think Corey was at like 8 at least, 8 to 10.
Yeah, I think I thought they'd sneak into double digits. This is more than I thought, but when you were looking at that team and most of the people that contributed, you were losing so many of them, and so many below them might end up being good players, but it's such an unknown with a lot of them that I thought they would have to just try to keep. You couldn't take a giant leap. You couldn't fall backwards. Was my point. You had to restock enough that you would feel good in the short term.
And I think there's been a combination of events. They had some guys that went in the portal that they didn't necessarily expect to go into the portal, and so that raised the number some. And then I think you got involved. And then I think when you get a DJ Uyunglele,
that's the big one. Once they went quarterback, then they were going to always have to move up.
Because it's one of those things where, like, if you don't do that, like say Tate had stayed, and I think when we were having these conversations, this was before Tate left, and so you're thinking Tate may stay. Between Tate and Brock Glenn and the freshman Kromenhoek, you might feel like, okay, we can go through the season and see what it looks like, or maybe pick up somebody later, but not a big name quarterback. But once you go and get the big name quarterback, that changes everything, because now you're in.
Well,
you're trying to make a run.
Yes, that's exactly right. You're signaling that you're not going through a transition year, or that you're not settling for a transition year. You've decided that 8-4 ain't going to get it done, or 7-5 ain't going to get it done.
And so it doesn't have to anymore. Yeah. That's the thing. Like I think you could have lived with 8-4 if you saw this year as that year to get you to the next place. But when you get DJ Uyunglele basically told Florida State, this is where I want to go. Like, he looked at the map. It's apparently the same thing he did at Oregon State. He said, that's where I want to go. He picked a school that fit him and the opportunity, and I did the same thing here. And that, I think, changed their calculations.
I also think the snub kind of sparked some things too. I mean, I think that was just like, we're going to sit back and take this. We're going to try to be where I'm thinking, like, from Florida State's perspective, the battle's in perspective. Screw that. We're not going to take a step back and be out of the playoff conversation next year. No, we're going to be right back in the playoff conversation next year.
I think they should just keep taking Alabama players. Let's get it up to 20. Take 6 more Alabama players. Let's see what happens. Norvell Era writes, which freshman from last year are you most looking forward to see in the spring? For me, it's Akeem.
Hakeem Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Vandrevius also take that next step. I know you guys were championing him all of last year.
I love him, but I just don't trust him.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anybody else in that group. The linebackers also. Well, shoot, man, all those DBs. I don't know, man. There's a lot. That was a good freshman class.
Yeah, it's a good freshman class. A lot of defensive backs that I like.
Yeah.
What about
the one real quick? The one guy that we haven't seen anything of really, other than just the first few weeks, was Edwin Joseph, because he had surgery early in the year. He missed the rest of the season. He was impressive in the limited viewpoint that we got. He's one that I think it would have been fun to watch him over the course of the whole season.
What about, and I don't expect this player to even play in 2024, any meaningful reps, but what about Lucas Simmons?
Yeah, down the road.
That's a good one, Corey, because, that was a guy that when they brought in right off the bat, you realize that's a guy that projects to the league as a left tackle, 6'8" with that length, and he's got great feet. He's an athlete for that size. And then obviously had to sit out medically for much of the year and then got the okay, which is great news for him, and I'm happy for the young man, but it's really good news for Florida State. I don't know how much size they can put on him, but he's a guy who could play big time, reps for them this year. Who knows? He could start.
Not this year, I wouldn't think.
Probably not, but he's talented, and I just don't know how much size he can put on up top because his lower half is big enough. He's strong. He's got good feet.
I just want to see how he looks, and he's going to be going up against some grown dudes at defensive end in the spring. It's going to be a really good test for him. He's still just going to be a freshman, but if he plays well in the spring against those guys, especially the kid from West Virginia that's like 272, if he can be physical with that kid, then that projects really well, and you're like, okay, this could be one of those dudes they've recruited from high school that ends up being a starter and going to the league.
That was a big get when they got him.
Yeah.
He's a real talent. Everybody wanted that kid. R.A. writes, and I'm going to hint that we saw some of this yesterday or heard some of this yesterday from Tomkowitz when I was talking to him that the ACC is fighting for their life. Just keep that in mind. Gentlemen, if ESPN has a financial stake in FSU staying in the ACC, do you expect more stories and influences against FSU? And in reality, wouldn't it be better for ESPN to end the ACC agreements as long as they're overpaying for at least 10 schools? Well, think back one of the things I think the ACC is pissed off about, besides the lawsuit brought against him, is the exposing of the fact that this thing it's not guaranteed to go to 2027 has to be decided on by 2025. ESPN could just be like, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah. No,
and I think they're pissed about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're thrilled particularly about the ACC adding the schools that they added. Because again, if Florida State can get out and if Clemson were to jump out too, now you're left in a conference with not only do you not have them, but you just added the schools you just added. Cal, Stanford, and SMU. So, I don't think, I don't know that their motivation is to try to sabotage Florida State and keep them in the ACC. But I also don't think that their decision is going to be based totally on, I don't know, in terms of like, it's not like that's the only option, because I've had several people say over the last, 2 years that, why would ESPN let Florida State leave or help them get to the SEC if they're paying them so much less in the ACC? Why would they want to pay them more? And that's fair, except if you don't have any other options. If the only other alternative is them going to the Big Ten
and losing
and then as far as what happens to the rest of the conference, I don't think it would make sense for ESPN to let the ACC dissolve. But maybe it does get renegotiated. When it gets renegotiated in 2026 or 27, maybe you bring that value down if some of these big name schools have left, and then you still keep the inventory, because they still have to have inventory to put on TV on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Yeah, and that's when it would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They'd be treated like USF.
Action.
USF is on a random Tuesday every year. I'm always like, damn, USF, you have fallen. Tuesday at noon, USF. It's brutal.
Hey, if we'll have sandwiches, we'll have some chips and dip. Will you come play a game?
Hey, fellas, first of all, shout out to Ira for showing some love to my band, Hayward the Band.
There you go.
Yeah, this week. And also, I really just don't see much of a drop-off this year, guys, if any. High ceiling portal pickups, coaches that have developed and brought out the best in these kids in the past, all still here. Your thoughts? That's from Chris.
I love the positivity.
Yeah.
Right?
On the internet, Corey.
I know. Where's that coming from? That's great. Yeah. I don't think I agree. I think that when you lose the players they've lost, including the quarterback, who is a one of the school's best in history. I don't think you can expect to be the same type of team, but that doesn't mean you can't have the same type of year. I think you can still be in playoff contention. I do not expect an undefeated season. I just think the margin for error is a lot smaller.
I'm high on DJ Uyunglele, but he would have to play much better than he's ever played to be at the level Jordan was when he was good. And then you're not going to have the same receivers. I mean, I like that what they've added. I think you're excited about the speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's an element that they didn't have with those receivers last year, but it was nice to have 6'7" and 6'4" and the body control and all that.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Hakeem has to take a massive leap to be a star, and you still need to see that from Destin Hill and Bendravius Jacobs. We don't know that they will. There's certainly a lot of ability there. And then they bring in the kids, LSU kid and the Bama kid, Benson. They've got some real potential here. I do think the offense can look different. You can go about your business of scoring points differently. The other problem is, and this is nobody's fault, a lot of the high-powered offensive numbers and things that we thought we would see got derailed because of injury. Mm-hmm. And so, they couldn't block it up on the offensive line. Their receivers got hurt, period. All of them got hurt. And so the second half of the season, it wasn't a great offense. Now, I'm not blaming anybody. When you get hurt like that, it's hard, but that's what happened. So that's why when I say, the offense could be better, you just get better injury luck, you might be better on offense.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And usually if you go 13-0, you've had great injury luck. They did not have great injury
at
luck.
all. Which is why we love them, because they overcame all of that, right? And that kept getting brought. We know it. And people love to say, well, everybody's hurt. Man, no. There are years where you are, unfortunately, on the wrong side of injury luck. In the way that Florida State was, it was crazy. And not everybody knows just how many guys were playing in games at 60%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of them. Keon over those last 4 games was not even close to the Keon that we saw the first 4 games.
Yeah, they were weak in practice. Yeah.
They kind of got lucky defensively injury-wise. They didn't suffer a lot of catastrophic or even month-long stretches with their main defensive guys. But their offensive guys, they never had their starting left tackle. Their Heisman candidate breaks his leg with the 2 biggest games of the season coming up. Johnny misses 2.5 games. Keon isn't right for the last 6 weeks?
4 games, 4 or 5 games.
Jaheim Bell had a bad ankle for the last month. All these guys were banged up.
The only guy that didn't was Trey Benson. He remained healthy, and he had one game where he was
until
kind of
the end.
Yeah, the very, very end. Yeah, it was brutal. Burke writes, which FSU assistant football coach have you completely changed your opinion on in the last 4 years? Probably Dugan's, right? I mean, Dugan's probably salvaged everything about the way Florida. I'm speaking for the
fan base in general, probably Dugan's. Here's what I would say for Adam Fuller. I didn't know going in that first year. My big concern with Adam Fuller wasn't that he didn't know defense, because I knew that Mike Norvell would not have brought him here to be defensive coordinator if he didn't know how to coordinate a defense. My biggest concern was, would he be able to relate to the players, because he's got that Northeastern sarcastic. He'll say things, man, at practice where he is blunt, and he's got that Northeastern personality. And that first year, it was so bad.
What do you mean by that, Ira? Can you drill down on that?
There was a day of practice last year. I'm going to go. There was a day of practice last year, this past season, where he said something to a player, basically like he watched the kid go through a drill, and he goes, basically, that was garbage. He just was like, that was ridiculous. That was garbage. I don't even know what that was. And that's one thing if it's like a guy that, if you're hearing that from Patrick Surtain, who played in the NFL and coached in Miami, and you grew up down there and you've known him for a long time, but here's a dude that you don't know. They didn't know who Adam Fuller was. He's not from their part of the country.
Not as relatable.
And so how is that going to work? But then I'll tell you, man, by the end of that 2022 season, the picture of him and Jamie Robinson at the end of that bowl game, Jamie Robinson's last game, where he's basically got his arm around him, they're on the bench.
Ooh.
That was cool, man. Just to see how, and those guys love him now. I mean,
Jerry Jones went a long way in helping that process as well, because I don't think he loved him right away and then came around to him. It's interesting. The veteran players, the guys who stuck it out, the guys who somehow, managed to get through all of that, they end up breaking through and seeing, oh, okay, I get him now.
Yeah.
And then they're able to go back. This is where culture matters, because you get a guy like that who's respected. Jamie Robinson was really respected, as he should be. And Jerry Jones is too. So then you get a guy like that who goes over and is like, hey, just – He means well. He's good. He's good. And once you get that kind of stamp of approval from a veteran player, that helps these younger guys who are maybe like, who the hell is this guy? It helps them through the process.
Well, and also just real quick, like that second half of the Louisville game in 21, That first half, man, was as bad a coordinated defense as we've ever seen. And that was on the heels of Wake Forest having scored 35 in the first half the week before.
Nothing looked coordinated.
The Jacksonville State ending, Notre Dame scoring 40 on you. Like, all that stuff had happened that season, and that was year 2. And then basically flipping the switch that halftime of that game, which basically he got a few kids off the field. He's like, you're not playing for me anymore. I'm tired of seeing guys run wide open. I want guys out there that know what they're doing. And since then, you could say they've been one of the 10 or 12 best defenses in the country since that halftime of the Louisville game in 2021. And so he clearly knows what he's doing.
Robert writes in the chat here, and he gave to the cause. We appreciate you, Robert. Hey, gents, here's some beer money.
Nice.
I think we see a big step with the offensive line, but what are the expectations on the skill players for 2024 in DJU? Starters, who's your TD leader? Touchdown leader, guys.
That's a tough one, man. Because Corey, what was the number?
Toafili. Yeah. Trey Benson had 14 this year. No, 15 if you count a catch.
What was your stat about overall production that they've lost from last year in terms of touchdowns or yards or whatever?
Oh, it was 83% of total yards. I don't remember the touchdowns, but a lot. They just rest easy, folks. They lost a lot of touchdowns. They lost the guy that ran for 14 and another guy that caught 11. And the dude that threw all of them. So they lost almost all their touchdowns from last year.
The Alabama running back Williams.
Rodell Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I might go with Hakeem Williams.
I don't mind that. Yeah. I'm really thinking I'm really because the way
it was coming,
it was happening, man. Yeah. It was happening.
That touchdown he had was big time.
God, I'm so disappointed that he got hurt because I think he would have really aided this offense endeavor late when they lost all those guys. If you could have just had him healthy, he could have emerged. Maybe not as a star this past year, but as a real go-to guy. They were starting to trust him in big moments. 3rd and 8, that catch against Pitt. There were moments where you realize, oh man, they're loving this kid. They're trusting this, and it was because he bought in as a blocker. Yeah. And then he started getting the ball. And he got hurt, and then Destin got hurt, and the whole thing pisses you off.
So to answer your question though, Robert, they've got a lot of pieces. It's hard to know exactly which ones are going to be at the top. I mean, because the receivers, Jalen Brown from LSU was as highly recruited as anybody at wide receiver.
Fly.
The kid from Alabama, the receiver Benson, was a #1 junior college player in the country. So I mean, they've got talent. We just have to see how it all shakes out.
Jared wants to know if you could pick one team for FSU to win a national title game over, who would it be? And it can't be Florida or Miami. I would have said Alabama with Saban, but without Saban, it doesn't seem to mean as much.
I think I might go Georgia at this point.
Yeah.
I wasn't real fired up about some of the antics from your team, Corey.
Knock off the top dog.
Just love all the celebrations. Didn't love all the celebrations. Doing the chop.
It's not, well, look, man, come on. That just happens. They're Braves fans, so they know how to do it. It's in their DNA. It's in their DNA. I still have a bad taste in my mouth. I know this was much more recent, Ira. You were the Orange Bowl. That was a month ago. I would want them to beat Oregon.
I
still remember that 10 years ago. Yeah. That was a lot more ill will. Well, and just say no, chanting just say no to Jameis or whatever they said, no means no, chanting that was gross, especially with what was going on with their basketball team at the time. But whatever, I don't remember things like that.
No, you don't hold that against them.
I don't hold that against them. Just the way they acted as if they're a blue blood, and they didn't get lucky that Florida State turned it over 7 times. So I still hold a lot of ill will towards them. So I think I'd say Oregon.
Anybody else, Jeff?
I said who's ever number 1 at the time, and to me the number 1 program is obviously Georgia, so I agree with you. I think I would probably pick Georgia because I can't pick Miami. It would always be Miami.
What about Texas? Just your Oklahoma hatred for Texas.
Oklahoma beats them all the time. I don't care about that. Oklahoma's
what about Miami of Ohio? Miami of Ohio, it's still got Miami in the name.
Yeah, I've always hated those bastards. that are like UNC Charlotte.
Yeah.
Tired of them. Tired of UNC Charlotte. Lay that beat down. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Oh, how do you're walking so crooked?
Well, I was walking my alligator and I tripped on a cypress knee and I spilled my margarita.
Oh my gosh, your margarita.
Got blown my back completely out. I had to ride the alligator home. I don't know what to do. My back's killing me.
You're such a Florida man. You should know you should go to Finn Chiropractic.
Really?
You can go to their website and book an appointment and get you in as soon as possible. Go to finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com.
You mean 24 hours a day I can make my appointment online and pay for it?
Yep, right on their website.
Wow, and it's discounted?
Yeah.
All right, that's what Florida man needs to do.
No lines, no waiting. Visit fenchiro.com to book your next appointment with a discount. FENNCHIRO.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. It's Fen Chiropractic, where the chiropractors love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hold my beer. I'm going to Finn Chiropractic.
Hello, I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic of Basic Brooks Law Offices.
Traffic cameras are everywhere these days.
And Basic Brooks has partnered with RoadProof to get access to all their vast network of cameras.
This is a valuable tool to help us search for evidence that could help you if you were involved in an accident.
If you've been hurt in an accident, call Basic Brooks and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Call Basic Brooks and we'll do everything we can to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
A cup of Joe, Java, Brew, Go-Go Beans, Brainwater, Liquid Lightning, Wakey Juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee. I'm Greg Tisch, and I'm here to tell you about TCC's first semester. In the fall of 1966, about 300 students were expected to enroll at the brand new Tallahassee Junior College. A total of 698 enrolled, exceeding everyone's expectations. The campus was not finished, though, so classes took place in Rickards High School and then Godby High School. Today, TCC has 7 campuses and enrolls around 15,000 students annually.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Michael writes, Jeff, after clamoring for a Samoan for years, was DJU what you envisioned? Also, with Lola Hea from Tonga and Mastromano from Australia, should we look for a kid from Antarctica?
That would be a great story. That's a game day story if you get a kid from Antarctica to play for you.
No, that is not. And I'm very particular about my Samoans and Tongans.
You like them 340?
I like them 340. Yeah. I want them to be in the middle. I like the Vita Veas of the world is what I envision. So I don't count DJU.
So Vita Vea get kind of shoved around a little bit.
Not terribly.
He got held. The Raganau was held him on that play where he showed how much grit he had, but
he did.
Whatever.
It drove me nuts. It's okay.
Hey, it's like Mickey used to say, you got a choice not to be held.
It's a you problem, right?
Yeah, that's a you problem. Don't get held. By the way, I have to bring this up, Jeff.
Yeah.
I watched the end of the Bucs game.
Sure.
And I'm watching the end, and I see when the Lions take that final knee.
And we
I'm
didn't
like,
call
wait.
timeout. Yeah.
There's 35 seconds left, and the Bucs have a timeout, and this is now 4th down.
Yeah, you got to make them punt it.
Or try a field goal.
Yeah, you got to make them try the field goal or punt it. Yeah.
That's coaching malpractice on both sides.
I'm not
both
a Bowles
sides.
guy, so you're not going to. Don't worry, I'm not a Bowles guy. So. Yeah,
he's a couple plays away from the NFC Championship. Maybe are you an Arthur Smith? Can I interest you in some Arthur Smith?
No. You can have him. You got rid of him. I know. I hope you guys grab Bill Belichick. That'll be a great hire.
Man, that's exactly what this city needs. Just somebody that built up the city. Everybody can rally around that personality. But I couldn't believe it. People that have been watching this show for years, or listening, I should say, know what a stickler I am for how time management and clock management.
End of game clock management drives me nuts as well.
It defies belief that the Lions are snapping the ball with 20 on the play clock.
Yeah.
And that the Bucs don't immediately bang a timeout. They have 35 seconds left.
Yeah,
down by 8.
Yeah.
So Twitter agrees with you. There's plenty of people.
No, it was bizarre. I saw it in real time too. I was like, whoa. What are we doing?
And you know what would have really helped? I think it might have been Tirico and Collinsworth doing the game. They're so caught up in what Detroit is doing that there's no game analysis going on saying, hey, wait now, the Bucs still have a timeout. Mike, why aren't they calling that timeout? Mike, why aren't they calling that timeout? It just wasn't even brought up. And Dan Campbell's walking to the middle of the field with 30 seconds left on the clock in a timeout. It's like it was nuts. It's like Bowles didn't want to call the timeout because he didn't want to make everybody have to go back to the sideline. Sorry, Jeff, weird. I didn't mean to bring that up, but y'all were really close to getting the NFC Championship game.
No, but in a year where I thought they'd win 4 games, I'm not going to overly, be too upset.
You thought you were going to be in the Caleb Williams running.
I was hoping to be Caleb Williams running. Instead, we won back-to-back division championships.
And now you're going to get Baker for the next 4 years. Congrats.
We'll see. All right. The question is, my question is, Stephen Jones going to be as bad a GM as Jerry Jones? Brad, we're not answering that. We've been saying Mike stayed in part, this is from Kevin, because we see a path out of the ACC. I'm looking at it from the other side. I think Mike believes he's going to build us into such a beast that the Big Two come calling. Winning will help extricate us. What do you guys think? That's from Kevin.
I'm probably more towards Jeff's side, that I think he knows that they're going to get out of the ACC, but
that's the right answer, Ira. Good job.
But I don't know that it was the only way they would do it, that he would stay.
I like the extricate. I like that verb. That's a great verb. That might have been the first time ever used on our show. So congrats there. I'm right down the middle, man. I don't know how much it meant to Norvell. I mean, he's getting paid $10.5 million to coach in the ACC. I think
the championship. You're not staying here if you think that you're not getting out of this godforsaken second-class conference.
But I would say I 100% would agree with you if it was still a 14 playoff. It's a 12-team playoff. It's a little easier to get in the playoff in the ACC than it is in the SEC West. That's all I'm saying. So I think $10.5 million. I still get to play, Georgia Tech and BC and Wake, as opposed to who I would be playing in that other conference. That's all. He's still getting paid like an SEC coach.
Philip writes, what's up, gents? Given the current state of the roster, how do you feel heading into spring practices compared to the way you felt last year going into spring practice? Well, I think we're all buoyed a little bit not compared to last year. We knew last year's team, they were going for it. And we thought that they had a chance to be really good. All of us said at least 11-1, I think. It's something like that. Worst case scenario, 10-2. So we knew they were good. I don't know. I'm buoyed. I thought that I had mentally prepared myself for the idea that they were going to have a transitional season. Now, I don't think they're going to go 13-0, but I think they can win the ACC, and that's not crazy to think at all. And I think they can win 11 games. And I think they're going to be good. I'm pretty well excited.
I'm not where I was at the end of last year. Again, the thing about last year was you had so many proven guys who had done it here at a high level. So, Jared Verse and Jordan Travis and Johnny Wilson, and all those guys had done it at a high level. We've seen it, and you knew it with Trey Benson, that you knew it was going to carry over, and then the pieces they brought in. Now, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of reason to be excited. I just don't know if there's as many known commodities. Even the quarterback has done stuff, but at 2 different schools. You just don't know how it's all going to work. But I'm definitely
optimistic.
Excited. Yeah.
Well, and I just think I'm excited about the prospect of seeing it. Like that, last spring, we knew what we were going to see. Oh, Jordan's going to complete some passes. And, oh, Johnny's tall still. And, Jared Verse is tough to block. Like, we knew all those things. We don't know we've never seen Marvin. We've never seen these linebackers. We've never seen a lot of these receivers, really, or the running back or the quarterback. Like, it'll just be more fun. And I say all that to say, buddy, I don't know if you guys are subscribed to Warchant, but you need to be starting for spring practice because we get to watch all the practices. And we're going to have detailed observations of all these guys every day we're out there, and that's why you need to be a member of Warchant.
Corey's promise to you.
Yeah,
I will do the first video wrap of the first practice, like we do each of the last 2 years, buddy. We've done that, so it's going to happen.
They're 24 and 23 and 4
since we've been doing that first one. Yeah. We're always sweating our ass off. I feel like. Oh no, that's the fall one that we do. That's that one.
That's the bad one.
Yeah, we're standing there. Aslan makes us stand in the sun. He thinks it's funny. We're usually dripping sweat. Trailer Swift is back with us, and he writes, so 2024, Florida will play Miami and UCF. Miami plays USF. So if we beat our rivals, we are the first ever real, true state champions. However, how great would it be if USF and UCF won those games? Also, who would you root for, and are you going to root for Miami and UF? Root's a strong word to describe it when they play. I root for a ton of injuries.
And
I'm a little
it's sickness.
unethical.
You root for sickness too, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I do. It's terrible. Most people don't admit it.
Yeah,
but I'm real. So I'll sit here and tell you. I just, you know what? What a shame that kid's being carted off.
Yeah, it's definitely better for FSU if they don't lose to UCF and USF. But
I was going to say you can't really claim a state championship if Miami loses to USF and then you beat Miami because you didn't beat USF. But if Miami and Florida win those games and you beat Miami and Florida, then yeah, you got the rightful claim.
This takes me down the path that I frequently begin to giggle, and Ira always points it out, thinking about Florida's schedule next year. Holy moly. That's an athletic director that just decided, screw you.
Well, they're all getting fired.
My goodness gracious.
This is the swan song for the AD, the head football coach, and a whole lot of other people over there.
You better enjoy those meals. You're not eating those restaurants again after this, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness
Clean
gracious. That's going to be a tough, long campaign for Florida this year. It's funny.
And even if they muddle through the first, because it's backloaded, I think, and so even if they're average in the first, I mean, they're going to end it with a bunch of losses.
The last 4 are brutal. Yeah, they got a bunch of losses right there at the end. But they have to come out against each other, right? Isn't that the first game?
Yeah,
I think their last 5 games, Florida's last 5 games, are teams that finished in the top 12 in the country.
It's brutal.
Last year,
tragic. Yeah. Walter writes, "Hello, gents. What is the worst thing about playing Boston College on Labor Day night?"
Castellanos.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
He's going to be fresh-legged.
Yeah, I ended up watching several of their games last year because I was intrigued by what he was going to become after we saw him against Florida State.
He wasn't that good.
Well, it's just it depends on what quarter and what's happening. It's just chaos. It's complete chaos.
That's why I got mad.
It's like watching Tim Pickett play basketball. It could be unbelievable, or it could be what are you doing?
Yeah, he could have the Wichita State moment where you can't guard him in the NIT falling out of bounds. Or there you go.
Runs the wrong play, throws to the other team.
Yeah, just being ridiculous. Game of Noles.
Don't you? I think that's a good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a nice night to have it on Labor Day night. That's 2 straight games to open the season where the whole country's watching you.
Yeah.
It really is good. I think for the not that this is our number one care or priority, but it is really good for the economy. I think the Saturday night, Sunday night, I really liked it whenever that was 3-4. I didn't like the result with the Virginia Tech game, but it was cool to have a Saturday and a Sunday to watch college football.
Yeah. So the Monday night games are good, and they're good in a lot of ways where you sometimes struggle is attendance because the people who come from Miami and other parts of they're
not coming out because they got to work on Tuesday.
They got to school or work the next day. Yeah, so that's one challenge. Because I remember the Virginia Tech game we thought was going to be sold out and it wasn't.
And the Notre Dame game was, but that was Notre Dame. Boston College isn't Notre Dame. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I like starting 2-0 in the ACC, buddy. I don't know why. Just starting out the gates 2-0 in the ACC, first place, riding high. All the pressure's on the rest of you bastards. Game of Noles writes, Ben and Matt are wonderful additions to Warchant. I'm curious where they got their start and where they went to school. Can you give us a little bit of their background on each of them? Matt went to FSU, goes to FSU, just finished up FSU, right? He's getting his master's,
over a year ago.
Too. Yeah.
Just over a year ago.
And Ben went to Louisville. And that's the answer. And they're both, yes, we agree. They're great additions to Warchant.
It has been from Detroit. Why is he a Detroit Pistons Lions fan?
I don't think so, but I think it was his dad or somebody rooted for him or something, or lived there at some point. There's a story to it.
It's like Matthew loves all things Philadelphia. And is that your dad? What's that? Your granddad? Yeah. So there's, you never know.
Indoctrination, man. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's why my son knows everything there is to know about Eddie Murphy.
Trevor writes, Ira, in the past, you've noted that Randy Shannon's football camps are very well attended. Parents do like him. Why is he not able to get South Florida kids at linebacker? That's pretty direct.
Well, first of all, you're asking me to prove something that doesn't exist. Like, it's hard to say why they haven't done. Like, there's a lot of different reasons, and there haven't necessarily been a ton of linebackers, I think, that have come out of South Florida that Florida State was in on that he just whiffed on. What I've said about him is if you're around him in South Florida, he is very highly respected. All his high school coaches know him well, and they've gotten kids from South Florida in this past class that are guys that, because Randy Shannon's relationships had a big part of it. So as far as linebackers in particular and why not from South Florida, I can't, you got to ask me a specific player, and then I could try to find out why they didn't get that player. But in general, I don't know how many linebackers there were in South Florida. They were involved in the Wesley Bissanth kid 2 years ago. They ended up not getting him. He went to Miami. It's not like you lost him to Arkansas. So I don't know.
Tony writes, which do you think will occur first? FSU clinching another national championship or Miami exceeding Bobby Bowden's record for bowl wins since 2007? Yeah, Miami
tough one.
Yeah, that is an amazing stretch.
Got 2 wins since then, and they've got bowl wins.
They've got one.
They've got one. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Lee writes, question about DJU and his eligibility. I've seen him listed as a junior some places and as a senior other places. That being said, either way, he has the COVID year if he wants to use it, right?
Well, he would have played all of – I mean, didn't he start – when he started there 21, right?
20.
He didn't – no, but 20 – he started there also in 2021 and 2022, right?
Yeah.
At Clemson?
Yeah.
So that's 2 years he played. And then last year he played. That's a third year he played. Then this would be his 4th year he played. So that COVID wouldn't matter. He'd be a senior.
Oh, yeah, because he didn't – yeah, he wasn't redshirted any of those years. Like the redshirt year was the COVID year.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows anymore? Florida's got a guy that's going to play – or the Miami's got a guy that's in his 9th year. And people are celebrating that as if that's not the stupidest thing on earth. I mean, it's a tough break. The kid keeps getting injured. Go live your life, man. The real world's out there.
It is weird that you'd
You're
want to be
30.
hanging around with college kids. I mean, it's like, because I said to somebody like Winky didn't like hanging around with college kids,
right?
When not males, when he was at Florida State, but this guy is got that going on.
Nice catch, by the way. Nice.
But I mean, it wasn't like you come back as a 26-year-old.
Yeah.
You're not going to fit in necessarily with a bunch of 19, 20-year-olds.
No, 26-year loving college girls, but that's
maybe.
That's about it. John writes, does our wide receiving core have a chance to be better this year? If Hakeem takes a big step, I think he has more wheels than Coleman, but overall we have more depth than last year for sure. Yeah, man, it's interesting. I've said before, because of the injuries,
right,
they could be more productive, period, if they just stay healthy.
It almost seems like, Corey, there's like a parallel between the receivers and the defensive ends, because the point you were making earlier is Jared Verse was better than anybody they're going to have out there this year, but overall it might be a better group.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have anybody like Keon Coleman this year, probably. It would be great if they do, but maybe overall as a group it'll be better.
Yeah, I think they have a chance. They certainly have more speed than they had a year ago. We know that just by what they brought in. And if they're healthier than they were a year ago, you might have more depth. So yes, more speed, more depth means there's a good chance you could be more productive if DJU just doesn't suck.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have more depth. I mean, you might lose a couple after the spring practice to the portal. I mean, that's going to happen. They're going to see where they are, but on the depth chart. But yeah, man, I think you're not going to have the top end talent. You're not going to have a first round. You probably don't have a first rounder on this team at wide receiver, but you might have, I don't know, man, a lot of 4th or 5th rounders. You know, what's better? One first rounder that was hurt for most of the season, or at least half the season, or
that's the problem.
Five guys that could potentially play in the NFL at one point in their careers.
If you tell me I have a first round wide receiver and he's going to start all 13 games and he's not going to be hurt, I want that.
Of course.
He changes the scoreboard. But yes, if you're going to have a guy miss or play as a shell of himself for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, yeah.
I don't think it was asked this way, but I think the better point to make is you might have more production. It might not be as talented, especially at the top, but it might be more productive as a whole, this receiver core, than last year's receiver core, because it was such a drop between 1 and 2 and everybody else.
Michael just wanted us to know that he figured out how to send us money. So he sent us money.
There you go, Michael. Well, keep it up. Let's see if you can do it every minute.
If others can do it and
Thank you,
celebrate
Michael.
accordingly.
Thank you, Michael. That's for real.
And we like the pup in your avatar.
Always. Seminole Headlines continues in a moment.
Local news now.
A man was arrested on Friday for the death of a 4-year-old girl that took place in 2023. 24-year-old Lindarius Strange Jr. faces a first-degree murder while engaged in aggravated child abuse charge. On June 1st, Tallahassee Police, Tallahassee Fire Department, and Leon County EMS responded to a home in the 400 block of West Georgia Street due to a child experiencing medical emergency. The child was pronounced deceased shortly after being transported to a local hospital. An investigation revealed that the child suffered a traumatic brain injury as a result of being beaten by her caretaker, Strange Jr. The child died from medical issues stemming from an incident that took place 2 years earlier. The child was in a medically fragile state as a direct result of the prior abuse. The child's death was then ruled a homicide. Detectives obtained warrants to charge Strange Jr. He was located in Hawkinsville, Georgia by the U.S. Marshal Service and arrested on January 19th. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Showers likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy. Highs around 66. Southeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 60 and foggy tonight. Chance for showers. Cloudy skies and foggy early tomorrow. Slight chance for showers. Highs level off around 76. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 64 degrees.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too,
call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Ryan wants to know if we think that we're going to miss having people with Johnny Wilson's height, for example. He seemed to always be open because of the height. Well, yeah, you're always going to miss having a 6'7" guy out there, but they got a lot of, this core does have a lot of height still.
Right.
There's still a tall receiving core. But no, there's no 6'7".
And especially compared to what DJ Uyunglele has had in his previous stops. Clemson, he did not have a bunch of huge dudes. And then in Oregon State, they did not at all.
By the way, we do get Morlock back, and I think he's going to have a big season. I mean, he has to. I mean, this will be a big year for him. Yeah. I know he's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end, but you do have that size. He's 6'7" as well. Andrew writes, 3 bye weeks on the schedule, huh? Seems like September 7th will/should be one of them. Should we care where the others fall before Clemson and Miami, or more important, to just evenly spread them out in October and November?
Are there really 3 bye weeks, Ira?
Yeah, everybody's got 2 this year.
Everybody's got 2, and then we get the one for being week 0.
Week 0? Oh, okay. Hey, that's free Saturdays for this gang.
Yeah. That's all right.
And we get another one too because of the Monday game.
That's right.
Man,
it's gonna be.
That might be the Warchant. That should be the Warchant appreciation party that Saturday before.
Let's just go eat some wings and watch some football.
And if they get any Thursday or Friday games, there will be another one too. So yeah, man, it's gonna be. As far as I don't think you can lose with it. I mean, if you're gonna have 3 bye weeks during a season, you just you're just thrilled. I don't know if there's I don't know how much you can ask for, I mean, obviously you love it before some of the bigger games, maybe before Notre Dame late in the year, because that's early in November. But yeah, I think, they're not going to put them back to back. So they're going to be spread out to some degree.
Brian writes, I'm a Nole first. I want to make that clear, but I'm also a huge Buffalo Bills fan.
Oh,
and I got this message today. Person wrote, sorry about the Bills. It seems like a effing curse when it comes down to a field goal. Again, I have a kid named Noel. Damn it, man. I mean, come on. Really? Corey, I know you have 28-3 that will always weigh over you. Jeff.
Yep. I trump you. I trump the Bills. I don't care that you've lost 4 in a row. That 28-3 is worse.
Jeff, you're a Buccaneer, so that would be awful history, but not anymore. No, it's not enough. We're 2-time Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then, of course, the Noles have the 3 titles, so I'm in good shape. My fandom is good. But, again, a field goal, this isn't cool, man. So he's just lamenting. He's just upset.
Can we say, though, I do want to point it out that even if he makes the kick,
right, they're going to give up the score.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes is getting the ball back with a minute and a half left and some timeout.
Yeah, the only risk in that situation for Kansas City if he makes it is that Mahomes scores too quickly, and the Buffalo has a chance to score again.
13 seconds on the clock. So it was not the Norwood or Jerry Thomas or Dan Mowry type was the last play of the game. Essentially,
why are we bringing it up? Don't do it.
Because of he's a Nole and a Buck fan, so it's a lot of missed field goals in his life.
Do you think if Scott Norwood walks into a bar in Buffalo today, are people buying him beers out of sympathy?
No. Well, if they ever win a Super Bowl, they will.
Yeah, it's like the Buckner thing. Once Boston broke the curse, then they welcomed him back, and he was in tears when he threw out the first pitch. I thought, man, this kind of seems excessive. It was a little ruthless. They were mean to the man. I would also say that Norwood, they did a special on. I want to say like an E60.
Oh yeah, how's he doing?
But not good. Still hangs with him. It still haunts him a little bit. But I think he said that as the years went on, people, when they notice him now, first of all, if you're Scott Norwood, you don't have to live in Buffalo, and nor should you. Nobody should live in Buffalo.
Could you imagine just choosing, honey, we're just going to stay here. We like our house.
Yeah. Let's go.
Any other city in the world, literally any other city in the world, you could walk into a bar and people will be like, oh, what do you do for a living? What'd you do? Oh, you were a kicker? That's cool. Did you actually make it in the end? Nobody knows who Scott Norwood is. I wouldn't know him if he was sitting right next to me.
You would not. You absolutely wouldn't. He's nondescript. When I saw him, I was like, he doesn't look.
And there's some cities might love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York.
Scott, move to New York. The Giants fans will be buying you a drink every
You're
time.
a hero.
Local celebrity's got his own corner table.
That's why Jerry Thomas lives in Coral Gables. They love him down there.
Oh, man. Butch writes, hey, guys, are we facing a future where high school recruiting is only going to be for the chosen few 5 stars and high 4 stars in major college football? More and more teams are following in the footsteps of teams like Florida State, Ohio State, etc. And I don't see how high school recruiting can provide the immediate benefits the portal does and overcome it. Thanks, go Noles.
Yeah, I mean, it affects it's cheating probably some kids of the chance to play at a high major school right off the bat, because a lot of these schools are taking less high school kids, but it's, they're going now to the next tier of schools. It's not like I don't think many of them are getting left out completely.
Right.
Because what's happening is there's the MAC schools and the mid-tier schools now are signing those kids, and then they're getting them taken away from them.
Yeah,
2 years down the road, like a Jared Verse from Albany or wherever. So
I wonder if they'll ever, and it'd have to be somebody that actually can put rules into place, if they would ever cap the amount of transfers you can take. Because they did it with high school kids forever. It was you can only take 25 kids. So why would you not say, okay, you can only take 7 transfer kids? That would curb all this down real quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. They have to do something.
They're gonna, this individual who I just accidentally clicked off of Facebook here, but I know what his question was. Hey, if this is your question, I'm sorry I didn't see your name. The question was, who from the 13-0 team gets drafted first? And the answer is Jared Verse.
Right.
And
Mel Kiper today had Keon Coleman 15th and Jared Verse 19th in his first mock draft of the year.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna put a lot of money on Mel Kiper's mock draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that
especially
out.
In late January.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, most people, it seems like, have Verse first.
I I've seen Verse getting drafted in the top 13 in several mocks.
Keon's going to be interesting because, again, the production did tail off. But I don't know if he goes healthy and does what he does, then maybe nobody holds that against him.
So the other problem that Keon has is like Malik Neighbors, and like you can go on down the list of wide receivers. There's a lot. Yeah.
When they were on the 40, he's not going to.
Yeah, I think Verse is considered the second best edge guy coming out behind the dude from Alabama.
Yeah,
Dallas
that's my.
Turner. Yeah,
that's my
Keon's
point.
like fourth, fifth, or sixth on the wide receiver list.
Yeah, that is kind of the problem there. And I think Keon, there's a chance, by the way, I saw Keon mock to Tampa Bay, everybody.
All right.
Mock to Tampa Bay. We're drafting 26th.
Mike Evans understudy.
I think Mike may have played his last game in a Bucs uniform.
Really?
Yeah, well, good, because he obviously is terrible. Y'all need to get rid of him.
Well, he'll drop 3 a game, buddy, but he does make several.
He also scores some touchdowns and makes big plays.
How are you feeling about Baker as your quarterback?
Listen, he certainly won me over this year. He had a phenomenal season. I did not think it was possible. I badmouthed him going into the year. I did not want him to come to Tampa Bay, but he was tough. He played well, like legitimately played well, and his teammates love him. I think he's the kind of quarterback that'll get your coach fired.
So that's the thing. Like you watch him, and it's like you'll see like the end drive at the drive at the end of the half. You're like, oh my god, this guy's unconscious. And then it's like, well, but yeah, why'd you have 3 points until this point? Now I know they couldn't protect him.
Yeah, they couldn't protect him.
Well, he also takes some sacks that some quarterbacks just don't take. He'll hold on
he's
to the
not
ball
an elite quarterback, but he's a plus quarterback. He's slightly better than average, and he had a good year, very good year, and he's eminently likable apparently now compared to when he first came out. He's gotten more mature and been humbled. But,
hopefully,
but he's the kind of guy that when you sign, you want to say to the fans, look, I know you love him, but this is not the dude. This is not the guy. You need to still search for the guy. Like sign him for a year or two while you're going to look for the guy. Or, draft Jaden Daniels in the middle of the first round or something and just like let him sit behind Baker for a year. Right. Perhaps. Anyhow, I hope Keon ends up in Tampa Bay because he's going mid to late first, depending on where you look. But the Noles are going to have 2 first-rounders, boys.
Good.
Looks like it. I hope Verse goes to the Falcons at number 8. That might be a little high. I take that back. I hope the Falcons trade up and go get themselves an actual quarterback.
Yeah, you still have a lot of work to do.
I mean, because the thing is, if you get Belichick and a great quarterback, we know what can happen.
We know that recipe, don't we, Ira? We've seen that play out.
The problem you have, Corey, is they're going to take Dallas Turner, so you're not going to get Verse.
Yeah, well, they need to trade up, man. They need to trade up or trade for Justin Fields.
Good work out of you, sir. You can sign off. Good work, Ira. Good work, director. Be well, everybody. We'll talk to you
I love
next
you guys.
week.
I love you too.
Love you too, brother. Be good. Peace.